Hello readers, I am back with another book review / clean book recommendation. If you're brand new to the channel, welcome. I'm very glad to have you with me. Make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications if you want to stay in the loop so you don't miss a single book review. Let's go ahead and jump into this book. It's an adventure, it's fun, and it's going to be really good. I'm excited to share this one with you. My Side of the Mountain is written by Jean Craighead George. This is book 1 of the Mountain series, or trilogy really. You have book 2, On the Far Side of the Mountain, and then book 3, Frightful's Mountain, which I want to continue the series so bad. Just throwing that out there. This was first published in 1959. My copy was published May 2001. It has 177 pages, 22 chapters, so we're looking at 8 pages per chapter. The reading time, it's hard to gauge. This was really actually an easy read. So I'd say guesstimating 2 to 3.5 hours in between there, or maybe even less than, depending on your reading speed. We can actually fit this into middle grade and young adult classics, adventure, and survival. And I'm going to pop this under historical fiction as well, because it does take place during the 50s. Sam Gribley is terribly unhappy living in New York City with his family. So he runs away to the Catskill Mountains to live by himself. With only a penknife, a ball of cord, $40, and some flint and steel, he intends to survive on his own. Sam learns about courage, danger, and independence during his year in the wilderness, a year that changes his life forever. There's so much I loved, not liked, my friend, loved about this book. Just to start with the overall survival, living out in the woods. I know. It's easy to romanticize about living in the wilderness, but it's not all going to be cozy firesides and listening to the owls at night and everything. But I love that whole, the mountains and the wilderness, being surrounded by nature and all that. 2 years ago, I got hooked on The Call of the Wild, which is a book I've been trying to review on here forever. It just doesn't work out. Anyway, I'm just obsessed with that whole thing right now, which probably explains the theme we're seeing. There were some pretty good characters in this. The main character, Sam, he is just a very likable individual, and the ingenuity. If you're going to go live in the wilderness, be self-sufficient, and do all that, he's the person to do it. I know he's fictional, My favorite character has to be Bando. He came out of nowhere, and I think his character was much needed. I love the friendship, companionship between he and Sam. It needed to be. Even though Sam did not need anybody to point him in the right direction, give advice, or, show him how to, survive and everything. I think Bando really offered a sort of that adult figure. If things go wrong, even though I can handle it, it's nice to have someone who's older, wiser, more experienced, and you can kind of lean on them for encouragement or comfort or even security. Bando was not with him the majority of the book. He came and went. So yes, Bando is very important, I think, to the story. Having woodland friends and everything is nice and all, and solitude is great, but we are not meant to live alone, completely isolated. A lot of times I would get so involved and forget that I'm reading a fiction book, and it felt like you're reading a field guide or how to survive in the wilderness kind of thing, because there was just so much. This book is chock full of all kinds of crazy stuff, like making a fishing hook out of wood, and there were all these kinds of different plants labeled, and just little tidbits here and there that were oh, that's so cool. Obviously, this book is not an all-in-one how to thrive in the wilderness. That's not what this is. I love that this book is perfect for every season. Usually, I feel anyway that some books you can read all year round, of course, but some of them are more geared towards winter or summer, spring, fall. It just fits that season. It feels weird to read it off season. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but I do. But this was perfect. It covered all 4 seasons, and the transition between each one was really cool, and it was nicely done. My favorite season had to be winter. I just love the coziness of it, because while it's snowing and ice is accumulating just outside, he's in his little tree house most of the time and just keeping warm. He has a little fire going and blankets and everything, so it was just cozy. I liked it. As much as I loved this book, I did have a couple issues. I get this was done in the 50s, a totally different time than what we live in now. This sort of thing a teen running away from home because he's not really sick of his family, just, I guess, feels cramped. I want to say he had like 7 or 8 siblings, and then mom and dad, so it was pretty full in his apartment. I get that. Leaving home for a year and just going out to live in the wilderness because you're sick of home, and your dad says, well, every boy should try it at least once, thinking that he'll just come home within an hour because he gave up. That would not fly today. It's a classic, that is for sure, but I think it definitely shows his age, because along the way Sam does meet several strangers, goes into their homes, and is like, hey, makes friends, and you don't do that today. So that was kind of like, what are you thinking? What are you doing? No. And this bothered me the entire time. What about school? It wasn't like he was only out there for the summer. That would be one thing, I guess. But he missed school, and no one was like concerned about that. It bothered me, because it's like, how is no one like actually wondering, hey, where's my son? I wonder if he's okay. He hasn't come back yet, so maybe I should go looking for him. It bothered me. I'm not trying to be all overprotective about the whole thing, but it's like, anything could have happened to him out there. He could have gotten seriously hurt, broken a leg, and died out there. No one would know what happened to him. But in the same breath, that's part of the book's charm. Getting away from it all, being self-sufficient in the woods. I get it, but does nobody care there's a missing child out here? I'm undecided about the ending. It's not what I expected. It was still a good ending, don't get me wrong. And it left room for a sequel. I'm still trying to work it out if I like it or not. All in all, I'm giving My Side of the Mountain 4.5 stars out of 5. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Pure reading pleasure, a wonderful escape, and I strongly recommend this to tree climbers, bird watchers, and those who yearn for simpler times. Now, animal lovers, this could go 2 ways. There's quite a bit of wildlife. He has a quote-unquote pet falcon that he caught, manner of speaking, raised it. There's a cute little weasel, little mice and everything. There's all kinds of wildlife, and it's fun. However, on the other side of the coin, to survive, he does have to kill animals. He fishes and he hunts rabbits and deers. If you don't like that, and if it bothers you, probably wouldn't recommend this for you. You can find this book just about anywhere, from your local library to the Kindle store to bookstores, anywhere. It's a classic and it's everywhere, but that's a good thing. So it's also on Goodreads if you want to add it to your to-read list and check out the rest of the series. So that is going to wrap up this review. I hope you all enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment of what your thoughts are if you've read this book or if you intend to read it. I would love to hear about that. Our next review will be on February 3rd. So until then, happy reading!